So can somebody tell me like what we had to start today? Or just tell me like what service we were discussing in last session. Guys, you are able
EC2.
to, yeah.
EC2.
Okay, EC2, no, not exactly actually.
IAM.
Yeah, IAM was what we had to start with. EC2 is again, yeah, is a service that we will be discussing, but then we have to start with IAM. Okay, so let's start with IAM, and the reason is, you know why? Because the primary focus that we have is based on security. Because you see, whenever we talk about cloud services, no, one of the primary concern. I mean, you just always, whenever you come across the cloud computing, no, I'll tell you what you should think. You should think about the old aged people. Okay, I mean, the age old technology, earlier how things used to be, and suddenly there was no new change wherein the cloud services came in picture. So I mean, think the first thing, those people who were no like, I mean, who were going through some old way of no lifestyle, or old way of infrastructure, suddenly they have to change. What would be their primary concern? Their primary concern will always be security, reliability, right? So yeah, first thing that we have to touch, or first service that we have to see, is IAM. Okay, by the way, my screen is visible, right?
Yes.
Okay, so yeah, let me log in. By the way, tell me one more thing. Have you people created your accounts? I mean, this AWS account, free tier account? Because no, these services, if you see somebody like doing, no, like working on them, you won't really understand. Okay, the best thing, or the best way of understanding is to try them. Okay, so that's the reason I'm repeatedly saying that if you haven't created one, please do create it as soon as possible, so that when you are working with it, no, you are like understanding it better. And you people remember the difference between a root user and a IAM user? Okay, so basically understand that when I say root user, no, root user has, I mean, remember that same dialogue. I told you, right? You should remember Spider-Man dialogue. Okay, so with no great sorry, great power comes great responsibility, something like that, right? So here also that is the same case. So the moment you say root user, he or she, I mean, whoever is the owner for that account, has got complete privilege. Okay, they can do anything and everything with that account. Okay, but then you should also remember the fact that, I mean, when you are doing anything and everything, of course you have to pay accordingly, right? I mean, you cannot just use everything and you don't have to pay. That won't be the case, right? You have to pay. So if somebody just makes use of your account, okay, you share your credentials with someone, okay, and that to the root account, okay, and that person, whoever is using, is very no careless kind of person, okay, and that person makes use of some service which is chargeable, okay, and they don't turn it off after they have done their whatever purpose they had to serve, okay. So that means what is going to happen? It is going to incur some amount, right? And that is going to be charged by you, right? I mean, it will be charged on you, not that person, right? Because the account belongs to you. So that is the power the root account is having, the root user is having. And the moment you are sharing the credential with somebody else, you are actually putting yourself in trouble, okay. And yeah, if it is given to some responsible person, then that's fine. But then again, the best way, what they are saying is, you know what, even they are suggesting that even if you yourself is a root owner, I mean root owner or root user, please don't make use of it. They are suggesting that once you have signed in for the first time, no, stop using the root user, rather create a IAM user and start making use of that. That's what they say, okay. Anyhow, that is because they are the people who believe in security, okay. Security is given high priority by AWS, okay. Now, one of the other things, I don't know whether I have shown you this or not. Okay, one of the important things when you come across the AWS is the this one. Okay, what is the billing part? Okay, the billing dashboard. Okay, this is important. So what I would suggest you is, so here you can actually see, okay, in your account, like how much it is being charged and for what all services you can see right here. So under view all, you can see like what services is consuming that, I mean is making me pay all that. Okay, so you can actually see everything over here. And what you have to do is, you have to go for, I mean, here just no, first day, if possible, just have a look at this. Okay, what all things are available over here. So I think the card details, as I saw, I might have told right. You have to give your card details and all. I don't know whether it is applicable to you or not, but for me it was. Okay. Then again, there is something like budget. Okay, so you can create your own budget. Okay, so I have created one in which I have no, like mentioned, like maximum it should, I mean the moment it goes to $5, no, it should give me a alert. The way it is going to give me an alert is based on the email ID. Okay, because you see, whenever I'm signing up for the first time, I'll be providing my credentials, right? So that credential, one of the credential is email ID, right? So these people will be sending me a email saying that, okay, this amount has reached. Okay, and this I mean they'll give me a complete details and a link through which I can connect to this given page and see like what is what is the one which is making me pay. Okay, what is the service that is making me pay. So you can create your own budget. Okay, and I think I can just show you whichever is created. Okay, so if I click on this, I can show you. So yeah, it is a, I mean, you can see here what all, I mean, what is it that is making me pay. Okay, and you can see, right, I mean, I have been using this account for quite some time now, and still the amount it is making me pay is quite limited, right? It's not that much. Okay, so yeah, I mean, I think earlier, no, it used to come in bit more no like um like a form sort of thing, but I think the way it used to appear, no, has changed. Okay, let me see, use the old console. So you do have a provision to switch back and forth. So earlier, no, it used to appear more like a form, okay, in which you will have different sections which you will be filling. Okay, so let me just see whether if it appears that way. Now I can literally show you each and everything that I have filled as and when I was creating this budget. But it doesn't appear that way. Okay, it is not this way. It used to come more like no, there will be some pages we'll be just going for next, and that's how it was. Let me see. Yeah, something like this. Can you see here on like, I mean, how you want to keep a check? Okay, your budget, it should be on a monthly basis, on a daily basis, quarterly basis, or annually. So I had selected monthly. Then whether it should be like a recurring one, or like you, I mean, it is for a limited period. Okay, or I mean, in the sense, every month you want that budget to be affected, or you just want it for a given month, that's it. Okay, so that is about the recurring one or expiring one. And the limit. Okay, so I have mentioned the $5, right? So whether it is a fixed budget, or I'm thinking of changing it, like, I mean, I'm going to plan it based on each different month. Okay, so I can do that. I can have a variable plan, but I have kept a fixed one. Okay, so each month, maximum, I'm saying that as soon as it reaches $5, it should alert me. Okay. Then what do we have? Mm, okay, these are not something that I have selected. Okay, it's like I mean, these are all optional. If you don't want to select, you can let it be, because you don't really know like what services you are going to utilize, right? So it's better not to mention any of these things. Then, okay, here also these are not some selection that we do. It just is showing as it is, okay? Then what do we have? Okay, so yeah, here you are seeing, right, actual cost, forecasted cost. Forecasted is based on like how you are using, okay, on a daily basis, how you are utilizing. Based on that, it will forecast. But I don't want that. I am actually going with the actual cost, like actually how much it is asking me to pay. Okay, so based on that only, I am asking for the alert to be generated. Okay, so the moment no, like 50% of budgeted amount. So I said like $5, right? So by the time it will be $2.5, I'll get an alert. Okay, so this is how it is. I mean, you can even mention it like after, I mean, say at 100% only you want alert, you can get that way also. It's all up to you what you are selecting over here. Okay, what threshold you are keeping. And yeah, here the email id I mean, like invest you want here. I mean, if you don't mention this, by default I think you'll get in the same email id which you have used for creating the account. Okay, and rest all is like optional. If you want, you can go for it. If you don't want, you don't need to. Okay, so you can get chatbot alerts, you can get the sns. This again will send the emails. Okay, a simple notification service is also something which is no meant for sending you some email or something. Okay, I can just confirm this. I'm not going to do any changes anyhow. So yeah, let's, so it will just show you a summary, okay, whatever you have selected, and done. That's it. Okay, so this is all about it. You can create your own budget, so that way you will be kind of keeping a check on what all services you are utilizing and how much it is making you pay. And unnecessarily, if you have turned on some service and you have forgotten to turn it off, so that way also you'll be alerted. Yeah, but then please do make sure you are checking your email. Okay, otherwise, even if they are sending you alerts, you won't be aware, right? So don't do that. Okay, so this is one of the top most important thing, because you see, you don't want to pay unnecessarily, right? So then what next? Yeah, next is, and yeah, please do notice one more thing. The moment I switch to the billing side, no, the billing dashboard, just have a look where the region is mentioned. Now it is what is mentioned over here. It is mentioned as global, right? You remember the moment I was in the like dashboard, I mean the AWS management console, here there was a mention of a region, right? A given region, which is Oregon. And the moment I went for the billing dashboard, right, it is turned to global, right? Can you see the change? And in the same manner, now I'm going for IAM. Okay, again notice what is being shown over there. Okay, so IAM. Do you notice the moment again when I'm switching to IAM, it is come to global. Okay, so what you need to understand here is that some of the services are globally. Okay, I mean, it is based on global region. I mean, it is not region based, it is like globally, it is going to be the same. Okay, I mean, it is affecting globally. Okay, and some of the services are region based, in the sense it is region specific. Okay, so if I want to create a EC2 instance in a given region, I can create in different regions. Okay, and it is supposed to create that given EC2 instance and in that given region. It's not supposed to be globally affecting, in the sense I am creating an instance in say Mumbai region. It won't replicate it in all other regions. Okay, it's just going to create in one place. Basically, in the sense, how should I say this? I mean, you yourself can think. If I want a system in Mumbai, I don't need to create like, I mean, I don't need to purchase 10 systems which is in different regions. I don't want to do that, right? It is unnecessary waste of the resources, right? Why I should do that? Nobody will do that, right? So it is just same as that. Okay, so some of the things now when it comes to account or user, they can be global, right? Because from anywhere I should be able to access the same dashboard, right? But at the same time, I don't need to whenever I'm going for some specific services, some services, okay, which is to be region specific, that there you will actually get to see the region. Okay, understanding? Getting it? Okay.
Yes.
Okay, so we already have the root user, right? And now I think we can go for a normal user. Okay, say an IAM user actually. Normal user, why I'm saying is because this user is not going to have too many privileges, and this user is going to have like limited privileges. Okay, so that is why I said normal user. So what I can do is, can you see on the left panel, I have different options. So I selected the users. Okay, and here I can go for add user. Let's click on that. Okay, so I can add a user here. Okay, so first thing that you have to provide is provide a username. Okay, and then you can decide on what kind of access type it should have. Okay, so access type can be basically two ways. Okay, one is based on the CLI, another one is based on the GUI. Okay, so CLI, I mean, generally people don't go for it, but then again you will find that in some client sites, no, they will say that you should go through the CLI only. Okay, so as of now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to select both. Okay, be it a CLI, which is nothing but the programmatic access, be it GUI, which is through the management console. Okay, then what do we have here? Okay, so the moment you have mentioned that you have to go with the management console, no, you have to provide some password. So now here there are two options again. Okay, one option is whether you want it to be an auto-generated one. The thing is, auto-generated one is fine, but the problem is you have to remember it, right? And it may not be something easy to remember. Okay, so you can go for the custom one. Okay, and yeah, let's mention, we'll provide some password. Okay, and can you see again, this is also a way of security only. I mean, just see what it is saying. The moment you sign in or log in for the first time, it is asking for resetting the password. Anyhow, I'm not going to do that. I mean, already I'm done with their security measures. Okay, so I'm going without that. Okay, coming to the next, can you see next, it is saying permissions. Okay, so let's go. Okay, now permissions, no, can be given in different manners. Okay, like there are three options using which I can give permissions. Okay, one is I can choose a group. Okay, and I mean, I can put my user under some given group, and that way it can have some permissions. Another way is if some other user is having some permissions, I can copy it from them and provide the same permissions to my user. That also I can do. Other than that, I can make use of policies. Okay, so you might have already seen that there was a policy option, right? So yeah, this is the same thing actually. Okay, so anyhow, okay, the group one, no, I'll just explain you briefly now. You can see it afterwards. Group is more like, no, it is the same I mean, the same concept as inheritance. Okay, so I mean, you might have heard, right? In inheritance, you might have heard, right? The whatever belongs to the parent comes to the child, right? The same thing appears over here. Okay, in the sense, if the I mean parent, or if the group is having some given permission, okay, the same thing goes to the child, or say the users which is belonging to that given group. Okay, so if the group is having administrative permission, so the child, or say the users who are belonging to that group will also get the same permission. Okay, and even if apart from that, some other permission you are attaching to that user, that also will be available to them. Okay, so it is like multiple permissions can be attached in multiple ways to a given user. Okay, understood the like, I mean, idea behind group? Anyhow, we will try to anyhow create a group, and we will try to put a user under that. Okay, we can do that also. As of now, what I can do is I'll go for attaching an existing policy. Okay. Now, when it comes to policies, again you have to see another thing, which is policies are again of different types. Okay. So here what you are seeing is the AWS Managed Policy. Okay. Okay, what can I give them? Permission. And can you see that I have around 686 results over here, right? So I'm not saying that all of them will be AWS Managed Policy. Okay. But then again, most of them, and I mean, I think around 650 or 60 something is AWS Managed Policies. Okay. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to search for some given permission. Okay, so maybe S3. Okay, I will go for S3 full access. Okay, so if you look at this, okay, just if you click on this now, you can see what this policy is all about. Okay, so the policies are basically, JSON files, which is supposed to give some given permission. Okay, so what do you mean by permission? Permission is like what it can do. This given user, what permission you are giving to that user. I mean, right? The moment we are going for IAM user, the reason is because you want to give limited permission. You don't want them to just go around doing anything and everything, but rather you want to limit them to only some given permissions, right? So that's exactly what you are doing using this. Okay. So here, if you look at this, it is saying that they are allowed to do what? I mean, to work on S3, and under S3, every action they can do, whether it is read, write, list, anything. Okay. And resources, that again is including everything. Okay. So nothing is being restricted. Okay. So they have full access, but remember that only for S3 service, not any other service, but only for S3 service. Okay. So I can do one thing, I can select this service. Okay, so let's select this one. Okay, and we'll only attach this one. Okay, and yeah, also please notice this option here. I mean, just notice as of now. We'll come back to this later on. Okay, so you have this, I mean, you have the Amazon managed policies over here. Okay, so basically remember one thing, the moment you see AWS managed policies, what you mean by this is AWS already has created some permissions and kept. Okay, and these permissions, if you just look at it carefully, you will see that these are all of different granularity. Okay, in the sense, some is having too many permissions, some is having limited permissions, some is only having some. I mean, maybe one or two things. Can you see here? It is mentioning read only access. Okay, whereas here it is full access. Okay, so that means they are like providing different kinds of permissions as well. Okay, so yeah, I mean, permissions again can be like limited to only some extent, and it can even be like a full-fledged access also can be there. Okay, so you can decide what kind of access you want. Okay, and AWS has created like quite many which you can select from, and if you are not satisfied with that, you can create your own policies as well. So if you look at this list, you can see that some of the policies are termed as AWS managed, right? The type is AWS managed, and some are shown as customer managed, right? So these customer managed are nothing but the ones which I have created myself. Okay, and do remember one more thing. The moment you see customer managed, remember that it will be I mean, only for the given account. Okay, in the sense, this one which I have created in my account may not appear in your account. Okay, if you want some customer managed policy in your account, you have to create by yourself. You only have access to the one which AWS is providing. Okay, so as of now I have already selected one. Okay, so yeah, I don't want anything else as of now. I can just go for next. Tags are, you can read it here itself that it is optional. So kind of we can skip this part. Okay. And finally, what we have is review. Okay, now we have come to review, right? Okay, so you can see that here it is mentioned like The username is Neha, and access type is like both have been selected, programmatic access as well as managed console access, management console access. The password type is custom password, okay, and it does not require to be reset on the first login, right? And a permission boundary, okay, we can kind of forget this thing as of now, okay. And yeah, coming to the permissions, okay, like what this user can do. So this user only have access to one of the service, which is S3 service, but then it has got full access to S3 service, okay. There are no tags, and I can create user, okay. Yeah, now remember another thing, okay. Another thing that you need to remember is that the access key ID, and can you see secret access key, right? So basically what I'm trying to say here is that these two things, you should always remember that access key ID, it can appear afterwards, but the secret access key may not appear afterwards, okay. So you do have a like way of, saving this, okay, as and when you're getting these credentials, you have a provision that you can download it, or you can even send email, okay, that also is there, okay. So whichever you want to do, you can go for that, okay, there is no problem with that. I can even just copy it and configure my AWS console. Sorry, not console, the AWS CLI. Okay, that is also can be done. So should I go for that? Okay, anyhow, I'll show you how to do this. Okay, so basically, if you have already installed AWS CLI, then you might be able to do this. Okay, you might have seen this, right? So I think you can check the version like this. I think I have shown you this yesterday, right? So I do have it in my system. Okay. So one of the first things that you have to do is, if you see AWS CLI, from here, if I want to make use of any of those services, I cannot use the root user, right? So the thing that I can use is the this one, okay, the IAM user. And if I want to use IAM user in order to connect to the given account, I should configure that with the CLI, okay. And the way that I do it is using a command, okay, because you know that once you know that it is CLI, you should know that everything is going to happen through commands, right? So the command we have here is AWS configure. Now, yeah, there is one more thing I want to say here. Though I can give it this way, okay, AWS configure, this is correct. But the thing is, AWS configure, okay. In fact, let me do one thing. Let me just click and show you. Can you see that the moment it is asking me for the access key ID, it is already showing something here, right? For the first time when you do it, no, you won't find anything here, okay. Here on inside bracket, you can find that there is some key ID already present there, right? So the thing is, when I mention AWS configure, no, by default, there is a default profile, okay. So all the credentials that I'm going to provide it, okay, it's all going to a default profile, okay. So anyhow, that's fine for me since I keep on deleting those IAM user and I generally don't make use of them. It's not a good thing to brag again, but then that's the reality. So let me just copy this access key ID from here and let's go back. So all you have to do is for, once you copy from there, no, for pasting, no, just click right, the right button, okay. So yeah, that's it. Hit enter. So now it is asking for secret key ID, the secret access key. Okay, so show. Okay, it is showing, and let's copy this. Okay, once you copy it, you can go back here. Again, right click should work. Okay, and click enter. So you can see that already I have provided some default region, the AP South 1, which is nothing but Mumbai region. Okay, so I can just, if I don't want to make any changes here, no, I just need to press enter. Okay, yeah, and default output format also I can let it be as it is. Okay, So yeah, done with that. If consider that you have multiple IAM users, okay, and you don't want to go with any given one, but you have to switch, okay, like you have multiple users, you want to switch between them, you can do that too, okay, and you can configure all of that IAM user with your the same local system, okay. All you have to do is you have to mention it this way. I mean AWS configure, okay, and you can mention hyphen profile, okay, and you can mention the whatever profile name you want to give for that given IAM user, okay. So as of now I don't have that, okay, I mean I don't want to do it this way, so I can just let it be this, okay. I mean say for example I have another user, okay, so I can do it this way, okay, and I can provide the username ID, whatever, I mean the access key ID, the secret access key, I can do that, but anyhow I'm not going for that. So anyhow I have cancelled it, okay. And the default profile, if you want to check, right, like I mean if you want to check the configuration, if you want to check, I mean you haven't used it for a long period of time and you are not very sure whether it is configured or not, so you do have a provision to check it, okay. So you can do it this way, AWS configure, and you can enlist them, okay. Okay, so by default, if you look at this profile now, which is appearing over here, this is nothing but the default profile, okay, because I think I haven't configured any other profile over here in this system, okay. So by default it is only showing me the credentials which I have saved for the default profile, okay. And yeah, as of now let it be this much. I will come back to this again, okay. And I can even show you like the other important thing, I mean important thing that you should be aware of when you are dealing with the CLI, okay, and that is to access the help utility, okay. So all you have to do is AWS help. But there is a problem with this. The thing is, there are like so many services and so many commands with them. So it will be a no a long listing, okay, and it might be a little troublesome, right, to figure out like what you want. So another way of dealing with this is like if you have some specific service for which you want to know the command, so you can just mention it this way. So I mean, if I want any command related to IAM, okay, so AWS space IAM space help, okay. If I mention this, I can get the commands which is specific for IAM, okay. So I can just get those list only. I mean I'm not saying that will be any less, but still much better than seeing all the services together, right? So yeah, this is how it is, okay. Okay, as of now let's just stop this, okay. Control C works, okay, if you want to get rid of the long listing, okay, if you want to just interrupt like the normal keyboard interrupt, right, this is Control C. That same thing works over here as well. I think yeah, we can move ahead. And if you want to save it somewhere else, you can do that too, okay. As of now, since I've already saved it, no, so I'm not going for doing anything else. But you can know, if you haven't configured your system, you can make sure to download it, okay. Or if you want to send an email, you can go for it, whichever you prefer, but make sure you do that, okay. Otherwise, once you close it, you won't have access to the secret access key, because this only appears at the time you created the user, okay. So let me close this as of now. Yeah. Okay, done with that. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. So there is, when it is not attached to any group, and I have, I mean, not done anything with that. Okay. So, and it is not configured with MFA, which is multi-factor authentication, right? And it is just 8 minutes ago. I mean, the password was created. Okay. So nothing has been, I mean, has been done using that given user, because it's just created, right? And if you click on this, you can actually see what all things has been configured, okay. So you can see the permissions, you can see whether it is attached to any group or anything, okay. And you can also see that there is a provision to add some inline policy. Okay, so as I said, there are different types of policies. Okay, so one of the things that we have seen is the AWS policy, AWS managed policy, right, which is coming like by default by AWS itself, when they themselves have created some policies, and which we can just directly attach and use, right? And apart from that, there are some customer managed policies. So we can see actually how to create those kind of policies. And again, coming to inline policy, we can see that. Okay, but anyhow, let's skip this for now, because we'll just see like what all other things we have. Okay, and we'll also try to log in using the this one. Okay, the IAM user. Okay, so tags for nothing, security credentials. Okay, here you can see the okay. Okay, no, nothing. Can you see here? Access key ID is there, but then that secret access key is not there, right? So, I mean, why it is provided, sometimes if by chance think that you have lost the secret access key, okay, so you can, I mean, you can see as of now the status is active, right? You can just try to delete it, okay, from here, okay, and you can recreate it. And yeah, I'm not going to do that. I don't need to. Okay, so you do have a provision that you can regenerate. Okay, so once you regenerate, you will get a new access key ID and secret access key. Anyhow, I don't need that for time being. I can just move ahead. Okay, I don't want to do this. Okay, these are all fine. I can just move ahead with this. Okay, now we can again go back to the dashboard. Okay. Yeah. Now look at this. Okay, another important thing that you have to do is when you're going for the IAM user, no, and when you're going for the IAM dashboard for the first time, another thing that you need to do is this thing. Okay, can you see by default what happens? No, there is a link. Okay, I mean, can you see this link? Okay, here, this one. So this actually is like a link which you can use for signing in for, I mean, with respect to the IAM user. Okay, if you want to sign in using the IAM user, you can make use of this link. Okay, now the thing is, if you go like outside, I mean, if you try to sign in for the using this IAM user without this link, okay, so what happens is it will ask for the this one. Okay, I mean, default, no, here can you see in this, here my name is mentioned, right? I mean, some username is mentioned over here, right? By default you'll find that this number will be there. Okay, this number will be appearing over there. So you do have a provision that you can edit it. Okay, you can have a account alias. Okay, so I have provided this by using this edit. Okay, edit option you can use. Okay, you can provide some alias. Okay, using this you can actually get rid of the trouble of remembering that 12-digit ID. Okay, you don't want to remember this, you make use of this. Okay, provide some alias and use that. Okay, no, if you want to still remember that, you can do that, it's all up to you. So let me do one thing, since we have already created a user, right? So we'll try to log in using that user, and we'll see that what difference we get to see. Okay, and before that, let me actually show you like how this appears. Okay, the admin user. Okay, I mean the root user. So I told you that the root user has got the maximum privilege, right? So at least you get to see this, then I think you will be able to compare it with the other. Okay, so now I'm going to the EC2 service, right? So if you look at the EC2 service, I mean the dashboard for EC2 service, you can see that I can go for instances, so nothing is there, right? I can go for launch instance. Okay, I can select. I mean, as of now, don't worry if you are not getting anything. Okay, just see whether I'm able to proceed or not. Okay, that's all I want you to observe. Okay, so you can see here, right? I spoke yesterday about the different instance types, right? That some instance types are free tier eligible and some are not, right? Can you see? Here it is T2 micro. Okay, and please do notice the region is also mentioned over here. Okay, so that means EC2 service is region based. Okay, so if I'm trying to create a system, a virtual machine, I have to specify where I want to create it. I cannot just randomly say that you create it everywhere. Okay, that is simply waste of storage and other resources, right? So you don't want to do that, and you don't want to unnecessarily pay for all that, right? So yeah, I mean, just have a look whether am I able to proceed. Okay, that's it. I'm not going to create anything. Okay. Okay, so can you are able to see, right? I could just navigate from one step to another, right, without being hindered anywhere, right? I was able to do this. So now let's cancel this, all of this, and even you can see some other services as well. Okay, so S3 will be appearing somewhat like, okay, let it open. Mhm. Okay, so this is how S3 appears. Okay, so if you look at this, I only have a single bucket. Is it? Okay, yeah. So if I click on the bucket, I can see what is there in my bucket. Okay, I can see that. Anyhow, I can come back. I can click on create bucket. I can create bucket. Okay, so it is not stopping me anywhere. It's kind of letting me do anything and everything, right? I can proceed, I can go for anything. Okay, but anyhow, I am not provided a name, so I cannot proceed here in this case. So anyhow, just let's cancel this. All I want to show you is root account has got full complete privilege. Okay, now let's get back to IAM once again. Okay, and where is my IAM? Yeah, here it is. Okay, so why I came back here is because I want to sign in using the IAM user. Okay, so let's copy this link. Okay, and let's try to sign in using IAM user. Okay. But for some reason it is still taking time. Can you see here what it is saying? Account ID 12 digits or account alias. So either if you don't mention the I mean you don't replace the or edit the account alias, if you don't provide it, you will have to actually remember that 12-digit ID. If you don't want to remember, so make sure that you replace it. Okay, and yeah, let's try to sign in using the username, or say the IAM user that I just created. Okay, and password. Okay, right. Yeah, I mentioned correctly. Okay, one good thing about this is, okay, so if I have, can you see, the moment I have signed in using the IAM user, the root account, which was logged in earlier, it got, it was logged out, okay, from there. Okay, now this is IAM user. Can you see here? It is mentioned Sneha at the rate Shweta RP6, where Shweta RP6 is nothing but my account username, okay, and Sneha is the IAM user. Okay, are you getting it till here? Okay, so if you see, we'll try to navigate to some service. Okay, and we'll find out whether is it showing the same things, or is it, is there any difference? Do you find any difference? Do you people find any difference or not? Is it the same?
No.
So what is it appearing now? Like, what difference do you find here?
Permitted access.
Yeah.
Restricted access.
Yeah, so it is basically saying that you do not have the permission required to. So that means I don't have any permission to create a user, or I'm not supposed to do anything here. Okay, so that is the thing. Why? Because do you remember what permission I attached with that given user? Sneha has got what permission? Do you remember? The policy
S3
that I
full
attached.
access.
S3 full access.
S3.
Yes. Yeah. So basically, I don't have access to IAM, right? In the same manner, we can even check EC2. That also we had checked, right, for the previous case. Here also we'll just have a look like whether is it going to allow me or not. Okay, so I am able to see the dashboard at least. Okay, here there is no problem, it seems. Let's see whether I'm able to create any. Okay, so here you can create launch instance. Again, click on launch instance. Okay, so let's see whether am I able to do it. Can you see an error occurred during your selected AMI? You are not authorized to perform this operation. So basically, I'm not able to even select a AMI. Okay, I'm not able to do that. Okay, so basically, I don't have access here as well. Now let's go back to see, I mean, the S3 service and see whether am I having permissions for that. Okay. So let's see whether I can see inside a S3 bucket to see like what all things are there. So I am able to see this, right? I'm able to access this bucket. Now if I try to create a bucket, okay, let's see. I'm able to do that also, right? I'm able to navigate inside this one as well, okay? So that means I don't have any issues when it comes to S3 service. The only issue was when I was trying to access some other service. And why am I having that issue? That is because I don't have the permission, right? This given user was only given permissions to access S3 service. The other services are not permitted for this user. Okay, so even if this user wants to mess up with some other service, they are not having the permission, so they are basically restricted. Okay, so that's what you need to understand about IAM. So basically what AWS suggests, and the best practice is that you should provide limited privileges, okay, to the users. You should create IAM users, you should provide limited privileges to them, and that's how it should be. Okay, so basically why this is there, because we are no, we are going for the utmost security. Okay, we are following the secure way of using a AWS account. Okay, so this was the other thing that I wanted to show you. Apart from this, let's get back to, I think I can just log out from this and I can again go back to my root user now. Again, I want to show you something. So let me again sign into my root user and then I'll show you. So I don't want to sign in using IAM user. So I can just mention this, sign in using root user. Yeah, this. Okay. I seriously get annoyed with so much of security, though it is good, especially for those people who have very sensitive data in their account. So they should, take care of all these security parameters. But since I have only used it for like some like limited stuffs and I don't have any sensitive data which I need to be worried about, so I think I'm very careless with security part. Anyhow, okay. So we have seen some few things about IAM user, right? So what all things we have seen till now? We have seen IAM user, how to create IAM user, and we have seen the AWS managed policy, right? So apart from AWS managed policy, we have some other policies as well, right? So we had the option for the what other policy, which is customer managed policy, right? So we'll do one thing. Let's create a customer managed policy. Okay. So we can create it directly from this. Okay. So here you can see, right, policies. Click on that. And here, can you see an option, create policy? So just click on that. Okay. So now we do have a provision that we can create it this manner. Okay. This is more like you have to select the options. If you are very familiar with JSON, you can do that way also. Okay, you can just write the script for that. Okay, that is also possible. Anyway, I'm going for the easy way. Okay, so I can choose a service. So what I can mention with service, let's go for maybe EC2. Okay. So again, you can see that here also in EC2 also, again, they have divided. Can you see? In EC2 again, EC2 auto scaling, image builder, instance connect, messages. So they are doing it that way, but I don't want to go. I will just go for the EC2. Okay. Again, whether do you want to give all the permissions or do you want to give permissions under list? Again, just look at this. Okay. Can you see the arrow mark over here? So that means in listing also, again, there is subdivisions. Okay. I mean, and the point that I spoke about, no granularity, that is what you can see over here. Okay. So in list also, what kind of listing, what all things are you thinking of listing? Okay. So you can decide that way. You can choose among whatever you want from here. Okay. Anyhow, what should I list? I can list what? I mean, you can just randomly choose anything from here. Okay, it's not like as of now, it is for experiment purpose, right? So let's just go for some random stuff. Okay, so I have chosen some few things here. Once I'm done with listing, if you want, you can go for other things as well. Okay, if you want to give full permission, you can go for that too. But since when you go for customer managed policy, the reason you're going for that is because you don't want everything, you want some few things. Okay, you want in some few some few permissions and some few services. Okay, you are going in a granular way which might not be already existing, some combination which is already not available. Okay, so that's the reason you're creating for yourself, right? So you can decide which one you want and you can just select. Okay, and yeah, that's it. I mean, anyhow, it is for just showing purpose, right? So I can just go with whatever I've chosen. And now coming to resources. Okay, under resources, you again can go for like what resources you want to select. Otherwise, you can just go for all resources. Okay, so let's go for all resources as of now. Okay, and let's go to next. Tag. Okay, you can add tag if you want. If you don't want, you can just skip this part. And let's go for the next. Now you need to provide some name. Since it is created by you, this policy is being created by you, right? So you can decide what what name you want to provide. So EC2, I can mention limited access or something. I mean, there is no particular reason why I gave this name. I can even mention some description saying that limited access to EC2 services. Okay, fine with that. Now I can just click on create policy and just remember the name. Okay, the name which is EC2 limited access. Okay, and now let's click on create policy. So this is more like a summary page. Okay, in summary page you are providing the name and you are creating the policy. So you can see right here, this is the one which we just created. Okay, and okay, yeah, this is done. We have created the policy, and you will see that if at all you go for some users, okay, you will find these options as well. And you have already seen, right, the moment you create some policy, you do find it in that list, right? You have already seen customer managed policies there, right? So you can see here, this is coming under which type? It is coming under customer managed policy. So if you look at the users, remember one thing, these users know the permissions are not something which you only can provide as and when you create it. You do have a provision, you can add it at a later point of time. Okay, so if I click on this, and if I want to add that policy to this one, okay, I can do that. Can you see here, option add permission? If I click on that, and okay, not this. Let's go for existing policy. Okay. And if I mention the same policy which I just created, okay. So it was EC2. Yeah. Can you see? It is appearing over here, right? So it is coming under customer managed policy. I can click on that. I can select this. Okay. Review, add permission. Though it is, I mean, having some random permissions, but still I do have a provision that I can add it over here. Okay. So this is what one was AWS managed policy, another one was customer managed policy. Okay. And the third one that we have is add inline policy. Okay. What is this? Inline policy. And do remember one thing, inline policy is more like a specific one. Okay. It's not like, I mean, it's not available everywhere. It is just available to a given user, or I mean, if you are just going for a specific one. Okay. So if I try to add a inline policy, okay, again the way you do it is going to be the same. Okay. So this time let's make it S3. Okay. So I have selected S3 service. Let's go for listing. Okay. Access type is maybe list all my buckets, or maybe list bucket, anything. I'll select this, only this. Okay. Once I've done the selection, resources, I can decide, okay, what resources am I looking for. So I can select, instead of specific, I can go for all resources, in the sense, like if I have maybe 10 buckets, I can see for all. Okay. I don't need to go for any specific one. Okay. So once I'm done with that, I can go for, yeah, review policy. Okay. And give some name for this. So S3 list bucket, list buckets. Okay, something like that. Done with that. And now I can just go for creating policy. Okay. Okay, so can you see here it is showing show one more? Okay, you can see that it is S3 list buckets, which I just created here. Now I want to show you something. Okay, so just see that this is S3 list buckets. Just remember the name. Okay, and let's go back to policies. Okay, and yeah, now if I just mention S3, what was the name? List buckets, right? List. Can you find anything? I mean, it's not showing anything, right? If I just mention S3 and try to search this way. So you can see S3 is coming, but the one which I just created, no, the inline policy, it's not appearing over here. Okay. So basically what you need to understand is when it comes to the policies, no, which is appearing in your account. Okay. As and when you're creating some user, it only shows you the AWS managed one and the customer managed one. But when you go for inline policy, no, it is basically like when you're going for creating a user. Okay. So the policy which you only want for that given user. Okay. Some policy which you don't want to share with anybody else, but rather you only want to provide to a given user. Okay. That's when you go for inline policy. Okay. Customer managed policy is something which is available all through your account. Okay, it's not available outside your account to any other AWS account, but it is only available inside your account. The AWS managed policy, those are the policies which is created by AWS, which is available to any AWS account. Understanding? Are you people getting this? Some response is always welcome.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, so this was about policies. Now coming to group, I have told you, right? Group is also a way of attaching policies. Frankly speaking, that is the way. I mean, that is the purpose of groups as well. So just understand it in this manner. Okay, so consider that you have this given AWS account is being used by a whole company. Okay, a complete, I mean, it might be a very a small company, okay, which is having maybe 10 or 20 people only, okay. So now all of them are using a single AWS account, okay. So there are people who are belonging to HR, there are people who are belonging to developer, there are people who are belonging to testers, okay. So there, I mean, though it is impossible, but still consider that this kind of situation is there, okay. So and now the thing is, each time somebody new joins your company, you don't want to create a user and, I mean, attach the policies and all. You don't want to do all that, okay. All you want to do is you want to create a user and you just want to put it under some group, okay. So what you have done is you have like already created some group, okay, who are having some specific permissions, okay. So now the developer has permissions for accessing EC2 instance, or I mean EC2 service or S3 service, and the tester is having permissions for the services like Athena or Blue or something like that, okay. And the admin person is having permissions for the IAM service or some services like that, okay. So the now the thing is, you just want that the moment the user, I mean, some new person is joining your company, if the moment you know that that person has joined, maybe and, I mean, he has joined the HR department or the admin department, they should only have access to some given permissions, okay. So what you will do, the whatever group you have formed for HR, no, you will put that user under that group, okay. So by default, whatever permission is there for that given group will be there for that given user as well, okay. So now if you look at the developer, okay, so we'll just see what policy we have here, okay. So let's see the permission. Mhm. Okay, so we have, can you see it is having administrator access, okay. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to add a user over here, okay. So add users, and we have created this user. You already know what permissions is there for this given user, right? So okay, let's click on add. Okay, so the user is added, okay. So now what I'm going to do is, let's go back to that other user, I mean the users platform, okay. So here, if I look at this user, okay, let's click on that. Yeah, permissions, right? I want to see the permissions only. Now just see, okay, what all permissions are there. Can you see? Attached from group. So what permission is there? Administrator access, right? So basically what I'm trying to say is, the moment a user is put under a group, okay, so whatever permission is there for the group is by default going to the user as well, okay. So if the user, I mean, if the user is having permission for maybe S3 and EC2, okay, and the group is having permission for maybe RDS service, so that also goes to the user as well, okay. So the user can even access the RDS service as well. Understanding the concept of group? And we'll do one thing, we'll create one group as well, okay. So let's do that, create group, okay. So we can provide some name. What name can I provide? Maybe HR. Though this kind of group will never exist, because generally HR people are not working with AWS services, but still, never mind, we can have, we can, so as soon as you're creating the group, no, you can decide if you want to put somebody under that group, okay. If you don't want, if you are waiting for some new member to join and then only are going to use this group, that is also fine. It is no, I mean, there is no hard and fast rule that the group cannot be empty, okay. So you are, I mean, done with this. The next thing that we have to do is select what permissions we want to give to a group, okay. So I can decide. So if I want to give permissions for the RDS service, okay, let's see, for RDS. So here I have full access, right? So let me select this, okay. And once I have selected this, I will just go for create group. So I have created a group. that is the HR group, having permission only for the RDS service, okay, full access. So, okay, so that is done. Understood? Creating a group is as easy or as simple as that. Okay, there is no other, I mean, there is no difficulty while creating a group. Have you people understood this till here? Like what is a user, what is policy, and what is the the group, and what all types of policies we have. Have you people understood till here?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
I just one question. So, for example, like in a developer group, like there are 4 users in there. So, if you want to give some special, access to him, you can do it by inline policy, right? And
Yeah,
then
you can even you can separately for users also you can attach. I mean, it is just like no the same concept. Why I'm saying inheritance? No, there is a reason why I use the term inheritance, because in inheritance you have seen one thing, that child can have some some methods which is only belonging to the child. But once you define a method in child, it doesn't belong to the parent, right? It doesn't go in a reverse order. So same thing applies over here as well. So basically, you can attach separate policies for a user, okay? But the thing doesn't get passed on to the group, okay? It is other way around. Like from group, things can pass on to the user, but from user, it doesn't go back to the group, okay? Getting it?
yes, yes.
Okay, yeah. So now what else do I need to show you? Okay, now another thing is about roles, but before that, no, I'll show you like how we can create group using the CLI. Okay, so that also we can do. I mean, we haven't seen, right, how we can make use of the CLI, though there are so many things, but still we haven't seen, right? So let's see that. So AWS IAM, again, I'm going to, okay, here, can you see there is an option for create group, okay? So, I mean, when you're seeing like this, no, create group, don't directly type in create group. It is basically like you have to type the first 2 things, that is AWS IAM, then after the space you have to mention this. Okay, so let's see, create group. So every time, no, you will only see what extension you have to use. Okay, if I try to click, okay, now this didn't work. Okay, and why it didn't work? So it is saying that there was an error. Okay, AWS error, the following arguments are required. So what argument it is requiring? It is asking me for providing a group name. Okay, so I can do that. Group, and I can say name. And what name can I provide? Okay, maybe training. Okay, training only I'm providing, because I'm not sure what all names are already available there. Okay, let's see. Can you see? Now this is also created. Okay, I was able to create a this one. Okay, a group. Okay, and also remember the reason why I was able to create this. I mean, you should remember that the moment I created that user, no, I mean, whose credential I have saved in my system. Okay, that user was not having admin permission initially. Okay, but then what I did, I had attached that user under the developer group. Okay, developer group was having administrative permission. So the moment I added it to that given group, it has got administrator permission, and that's the reason I was able to create the group. Okay, so otherwise earlier, just by having the permissions for S3 bucket, no, or say S3 service, no, it cannot have the permission to create any group. Okay, so the reason I was able to do it is because now it is having permission because of the group it is attached to. Okay, so as soon as I use this command, I'm able to create a group. But the problem here is that if you just see, for each and everything, I have to provide like different tags, okay, and some additional information I have to pass. Okay, so the command will look a little complicated as and when you have to do some major task. Even here also, if you look at this, creating a group requires multiple things, right? like, I mean, it requires to provide some permission and all, right? I was not able to do that in a single go. I have to like go for looking, I mean, I have to basically look for another command which is required in order to attach some permissions, okay, and I can do it. Otherwise, I can do it from here itself, okay, here. As of now, it is not appearing, right? What was the group we created? Training, right? It's not appearing over here. Let me do one thing. Let's try to refresh. Now, does it appear? It is appearing, right? Now it is appearing and it is created, but then it is not having any permission, okay? Because we were not able to attach the permission. Don't think that the command does not exist, okay? It does exist. If you see, if you just go for the help command now, you can see that there is permission. Can you see here? Attach group policy. So that means you do have a provision to attach policies to a group, okay? So you can do that. It's just that like each time you have to give a command for doing some given purpose, and again, like when you're giving some command, apart from the command, you have to provide some argument to that, right? Some parameters, some arguments may be asked for. Like in earlier case, when you gave the no create group command, it was asking for the argument which is group name, right? So that we had to provide, okay? So same thing applies over here. All that I want you to remember is how you can access the help console, okay? So once you have already no, I mean, you have the CLI installed in your system, you should know like how you can access the help utility, okay? So all you have to do is, if you have some specific service for which you want to check, so just mention AWS, that service name, and then help, okay? So you will get all those commands which is related to that given service, okay? And then you can like browse through that, and even if you give a wrong command, it will kind of tell you like what I mean, either it will take you to the help, or if it is missing some parameter, it will kind of give you some error message. So that way also it is kind of guiding you like how you can move further, okay? So that way it is helpful, okay? So just be aware like how you can use this, okay? That's the only thing I want you to know as of now. Now what else do we have? Okay, now we have spoken already about the users, we have spoke about the policies, then the groups. Now coming to roles, okay? I'll do one thing. Roles is something anyhow I have to explain it to you, but as of now I'm giving this as a homework, okay? So do one thing, just try to figure out like what are roles, okay? If you are able to find it out like what it is, it's good. If not, I'll explain you. Anyhow, we have to work on that, okay? So don't worry, it will be discussed, okay? So as of now, I think we can just skip it for now, time being, okay? So just find out what is roles, okay? And now the next service that we'll be going to use is the EC2 service, okay? So let's just have a glimpse of that, okay? Some idea is always good, right? Some prior idea of a given service can help you to use it much better. So yeah, the next thing that we have is EC2, right? So here you can see the full form of that, which is Elastic Compute Cloud, okay? So under EC2, what all things do we have? Okay, first thing is okay, introduction, right? So I think this part you can kind of skip, because as I told you, when you hear the Elastic Compute Cloud, first thing that you should understand is that it is a service which is, I mean, it is a service which is going to provide you the compute service, basically, okay? Computing, I mean, when you say compute, basically you should remember a computer, what all things comes with a computer, okay? And those things are going to be provided through cloud, okay? The moment you hear elastic, scalability should come in your mind, okay? And what all kind of scaling are there? So there is vertical scaling, there is horizontal scaling, okay? So that means this given service allows you both the kind of scaling, okay? So that's the reason you call it elastic compute cloud, okay? You already know that the moment something is accessible or available through network, you call it a cloud service. Okay. So I think on a simple terms, I think you are understanding EC2 service, right? So now I think we can move ahead and see what major things are there in EC2. So majorly, if you see, it is a service which is going to help you create virtual machines, and virtual machines are termed as EC2 instances here. Okay, you call it as instance. So what do we have as features? So Amazon EC2 provides the following features: virtual computing environment known as instances. So the virtual machines are nothing but instances. The next thing that you should know is there is something like pre-configured templates. Okay, pre-configured templates for your instances, which are known as Amazon machine images. So you yesterday, I think we spoke about images, right? Images. I think we spoke about the ISO image, right? So you can consider that. It is similar to that, but not exactly the same. Okay, why similar and why not exactly the same? Well, the reason I'm saying this is because you see, ISO images are like for Windows, it is existing. For Linux, there are different types of Linux, right? So you have Red Hat and Linux, you have the CentOS, you have Ubuntu. So these are different flavors of Linux. Okay, so however it comes in market, no, the same thing. If you have in your, the same image, if it is, it is there with you, okay, as it is, then you call it a ISO image. But when you say pre-configured, that means it's not going to be the same. Okay, there is going to be some additional like packages or something available apart from the raw image. Okay, raw operating system. Apart from that, there are going to be some additional software which is going to come along with that, and that is the reason you call it pre-configured templates. Okay, and that's the reason they give it a different name. Okay, and they call it what? Amazon machine image. They don't call it as ISO image, but rather Amazon machine image, because they are not providing a raw operating system to you, but rather they are pre-configuring it. Okay, the next thing that we have is instance types. Okay, so what is mentioned over here? There is like various configurations of CPU, memory, storage, and networking capacity for your instances, known as instance types. So basically, this is the way how the vertical scaling is applicable. Okay, in the sense that consider that there is an instance type which is going to provide you more RAM. Okay, and there is another instance type which is going to provide you better networking. Okay, maybe, or better IOPS. Okay, in the sense the input output, the operations will be more. Okay, or there is another one which is supporting more storage. Okay, so based on like what is it supporting? Okay, what the given instance time is having, is inclined towards which one? Okay, which of the computing resource? Okay, based on that, there are different instance types. So some might be having more of CPU, some might be concentrating more on memory. So now, if you remember the fact that for different applications, you have different requirements, right? In some applications, you want more memory. For some application, you want more CPU. For some application, you want better graphic cards, right? If it is a gaming one, no, gaming application, you might require some better graphic card or something like that. Okay, so there are instance types which are having that. Okay, better graphic support. Okay, and there are instance types which is focusing on networking. So based on your requirement, based on your application's requirement, you can decide on what kind of instance type you want. Basically, you can consider this to be more like the hardware configuration that you want. Okay, for your given virtual machine, what kind of hardware configuration you require. Then coming to the secure login part. So I told you, right, AWS is from there and they are maintaining high security. So they actually always prompt you to create the key value pairs, sorry, not key value pairs, key pairs, okay? Key pairs in the sense, the public key and the private key. So if you might have come across the SSH, right? SSH is like secure shell, right? It's kind of a way through which you can provide security, okay? So basically a TCP kind of, I mean, security, okay? So two-way security, okay? So that is something which AWS, especially the EC2 service, kind of prompts you to have, okay? So the moment you are creating some virtual machine, they will try, I mean, they will ask you to either generate some key value, I mean, the key pair, public private key pair, or you can make use of, or you can create one, okay? If you have already something, you can use it. If you want to create one, you can create a new one, okay? So they will prompt you to do that. The next thing that we have is storage volume for temporary data, okay? By the way, do you understand what is meant by temporary data? Temporary data that is deleted when you stop or terminate your instance, known as instance store volumes, okay? So that means, you see, whenever you like create some virtual machine, no? So basically, initially you will be having a single disk, right, attached to your virtual machine, for the sake of having your operating system. Now, for booting your operating system, you of course require some storage, right? So there will be an initial volume attached to that virtual machine as and when you are creating it for the first time, okay, so which will be having some minimum configuration. Okay, so for if you see, the Linux based system require around 8 GB or something, okay, to get started, okay? So that will be there. So that that one is what they are talking about here, okay, instant store volume. Then coming to the persistent storage volume. So that means if you're attaching some other volumes in your system, I mean, in your virtual machine, I mean, at some later point of view, you are going to use it for, say, storing some log data, or maybe some databases running in your EC2 instance. Okay, so database will generate some files, right? So some control files, or some archive log files, or some data files. So you want to keep those files, right, in a volume which is going to remain, right? Okay, so that persistent storage volumes are, I mean, generally the EBS volumes, okay? So this is again something coming with AWS, okay? Yeah, so that is there. Multiple physical locations for your resources, such as instances. Since I said, right, EC2 is a region-based or region-specific this one service, right? So that means you do have a provision to create an EC2 instance, maybe in a Mumbai region, or maybe you want to create it in North Virginia, or you want to create in some other region, okay, maybe Europe, okay? So you do have a provision to choose where you want to create, okay? So that is there. So it is basically region specific, okay? So you have to decide where you want to create. And then again, in when you say region, under region comes availability zone. So you do have a provision to even decide which availability zone you want to create it, okay? So yeah, you can do all that. Then coming to firewall that enables you to specify the okay. So there is something called security group, okay? So this is the next thing that comes with EC2 instances. So now security group is like a firewall in the sense, something which is going to monitor, or say decide on what all protocols, using what all protocols some external entity can connect to your system, okay? And by default, like, outgoing is free, in the sense, from your EC2 instance, communicating with some other device is always fine, okay? Like outside, you, if you want to communicate, it is fine. You can like send something from your EC2 instance, or you want to connect to some other device, you want to ping some other device, you can do all that. The only problem is incoming, in the sense, who can access your EC2 instance, okay? So for that sake, you basically require the security group, deciding on, like, if anybody can, try to access your system EC2 instance using maybe SSH protocol or maybe using HTTP protocol. So you can decide all that. Okay. Now you see the way, I mean, you know that these services are all cloud based, right? Cloud based means it is all going to be like, I mean, you are all going to connect through network, right? So when you are connecting through network, the way you are connecting to it is through public IP. Okay, you are going to connect to it through public IP. Now the problem about public IP is that it keeps on changing. Okay, the moment you turn off your system and you turn it on, the next moment it will change. Okay, so if you don't want, I mean, if you don't want it to change, if you want to keep it intact, then what you can do is, instead of using the public IP, you can use the elastic IP. Okay, you can attach a elastic IP address to your EC2 instance. So that way, what will happen is EC2, I mean, the elastic IP is something which remains same. It won't change. Okay, and there is limitation actually. For every account, no, there is like, you can have 5 elastic IPs. Okay, so you can like max to max have 5 elastic IPs, and you have to attach it to a instance which is running. Okay, I mean, you cannot just keep it and you are not using it. You cannot do it that way. Okay, that way actually you are, I mean, kind of not letting that IP to be used by somebody else, right? So you will be charged more. Okay, I mean, you will be charged for that. Okay, so you have to use it. So elastic IPs are something which is more like a paid service. Okay, I mean, frankly speaking, not required. It is only required if you have a given application running in your EC2 instance, which is IP, I mean, which is based on IP. Okay, if that is the case, then you require this. Otherwise, if you want, you can just set your host name, and if that can be used, that's enough, right? Or if it is DNS based, and that way also you can make use of it. Coming to metadata. Now, metadata is something like some hidden data, some details, right? So you can have, I mean, you do have a provision, you can check the data, metadata for your EC2 instance. Okay, so there is a given IP using which you can actually access the metadata. Okay, so I mean, that is kind of specific. The IP is not going to change. Okay, for every account you will find that using the same IP you can check your data. Okay, because that is something which is belonging to the AWS itself. Okay, coming to the network part. So the moment you hear network, you should understand there is something like the virtual private cloud. Okay, so basically the moment you are creating an account, okay, I mean, you are signing up for the Amazon Web Service, so they will create a private cloud for you. Okay, so basically all the services that you are going to use, it is all going to be through that given cloud. Okay, so you are, I mean, it is creating a private network for you. Okay, then you can decide if you want to communicate with some other service or something else outside that, how you are going to communicate, what all services you want to allow. Okay, so those things are something which they are leaving up to you. Okay, you can decide. Benefits are something which you can see. Okay, so it is all something I think we have discussed most of them. Okay, this is the next important thing, which is like, see, now when it comes to EC2 instances, no, there are like, I mean, you can consider this as to be more like the way you want to make payments. Okay, I mean, what kind of, instance you want. Okay, so on demand is like, you are not going to use it for long term, but consider that you have to do some experiment. Okay, or you want to test it, or maybe if you are using only for some temporary purpose. Okay, so that time you go for on demand. Then and there you like ask for a you want to create an instance and you create it. Okay, that's when you go for on demand. Frankly speaking, it's a costly way, okay, of creating instances, but then again, not that costly. It is still like reasonable. Okay, but then if you look at the options that we have here, in that it is costly, one of the costly one. Okay, Most costly is the dedicated one actually. Okay, so after that, the next one is on demand. The most one, I mean, the least costly one is reserved. Okay, and this is how, you know, if you consider that you are having a good, I mean, working company. Okay, and it is going to require the instance for a long period of time. Say for example, for 1 or say 3 years. Okay, so for that long period, if you have decided and you have purchased for that, okay, so they will come with a good amount of discount. Okay, so reserved instances, that kind, okay, wherein you are paying less. Okay, I mean actually least, because it is coming with some discount as well. Okay, so this is about reserved one. Coming to spot, this is more like, no, you can consider this as gambling. The reason why I'm using the term gambling is because, you see, it is more like, no, the moment there are sometimes these pricing will get low. Okay, so at that point of time, if you want to use it, but then again, the problem is, the moment there is a huge demand for EC2 instance, your instance may suddenly like will be turned off. Okay, and it will be revoked from you. Okay, that is possible. So that's the reason spot instances are generally used for short term. Okay, and wherein it is fine if there is a loss of data. Okay, or maybe there is nothing to be lost, it's just for running some application for temporary purpose. Okay, only for that time the spot instances are taken. It is more like the instances are bid. Okay, so there will be something like bidding. Okay, and whenever it is the least, that's when it is being used. Okay, by the customer. So this is something which is not used whenever your data is critical. Okay, whichever data you are like providing in your EC2 instance, if that is not important, then go for it. Coming to dedicated, now dedicated is something where you are dedicating the things, in the sense, say for example, you want some dedicated host. Okay, so what you're saying is the hardware, okay, the hardware on which your EC2 instance is going to run, that only belongs to your account. In the sense, even if half of the resources is not being consumed, it still belongs to you. Nobody else can use it, or nobody else can run their EC2 instance in your given hardware. Okay, you are just keeping it for yourself. So I mean, with that idea itself, you can understand that the moment you are saying that it is going to be specially for you, you have to pay for it, right? You are not letting anybody else use it, you are not sharing it with someone. So then of course you have to you have to make complete or full payment for it. Okay, so that's about dedicated. I think that's it. Creating the instance, no, I think we'll see it tomorrow. Okay, I think we can just move with this, because this instance part, no, I think I want to show it step by step. For the first time, it is important to see all the steps. Okay, so let's find up for today here. Okay, tomorrow we'll see EC2 instance, and we'll also figure out how many of you go and find out the role, what is role. Okay, if you don't find out, we'll discuss anyhow, we'll discuss it tomorrow. Okay,